Ethan Cole had everything. Wealth, success, a picture-perfect wedding about to begin. But when the pastry chef wheeled in his cake, his world didn't just crack, it shattered. Because staring back at him was the woman he'd loved and lost 3 years ago, and clinging to her sides were 2 little boys who had his eyes, his smile, his entire DNA. What Ethan didn't know was that his own father had orchestrated their separation, intercepting love letters, blocking phone calls, threatening the woman carrying his grandsons. Now, with his bride-to-be watching in horror and 300 guests holding their breath, Ethan has seconds to make a choice that will either destroy him or save him. Subscribe and comment below if you've ever discovered a secret that changed your life forever, because this story is about to get messy. The morning sun painted the grand ballroom in shades of gold and cream. Crystal chandeliers caught the light, sending tiny rainbows dancing across white tablecloths. Fresh roses filled the air with their sweet scent. Everything was perfect. Everything was exactly as planned. Ethan Cole stood near the altar, his hands clasped behind his back. His dark suit fit him perfectly. At 32, he'd built an empire of restaurants across Charleston. People called him successful. They called him smart. Today they would call him married, but his chest felt tight. "You good, man?" Mark whispered beside him. His business partner and best friend had noticed the tension in Ethan's shoulders. "Yeah, just, big day." Ethan forced a smile. The string quartet began playing. Guests turned in their seats. Clara would appear any moment, walking down that long aisle in her designer gown. She was beautiful, elegant, from the right family. His father would have approved. His father. Dead 2 years now. Even in death, the old man's voice echoed in Ethan's head. Make the right choices. Marry the right woman. Build the right life. Ethan swallowed hard. The ballroom doors opened, but it wasn't Clara. A woman in a white chef's coat pushed a cart through the side entrance. The wedding cake sat on top, 5 tiers of pure white frosting and delicate sugar flowers. The woman moved with quiet grace, her dark skin glowing against the white uniform. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun. Ethan's world stopped spinning. His breath caught in his throat. His heart hammered against his ribs. Maya. It couldn't be. After 3 years, after all this time. But it was her. The same full lips, the same elegant neck, the same way she moved like she was dancing even when she was just walking. Their eyes met across the crowded room. For one heartbeat, everything else disappeared. The guests, the music, Clara, the whole wedding, gone. Maya's eyes widened. Her hands gripped the cart handle. For a second, Ethan thought she might turn and run, but she didn't. She kept moving forward, positioning the cake at the display table near the front. Her movements were careful, professional, but her hands trembled slightly. Ethan took a step toward her without thinking. "Ethan," Mark grabbed his arm. "What are you doing?" He barely heard him. Maya was 20 feet away, then 15. She was arranging something on the table, keeping her eyes down. Then came the sound that changed everything. "Mama!" 2 small boys burst through the same side door Maya had used. They couldn't have been more than 2 years old. Both had dark, curly hair. Both wore matching blue shorts and white shirts. They ran on unsteady toddler legs, giggling. "Mama! Mama!" they called again. Maya turned, her face breaking into a warm smile. She crouched down as they crashed into her arms. The room went quiet. Confused whispers rippled through the guests. Ethan stared. His mind raced, trying to process what he was seeing. The boys. Maya. The timeline. One of the twins looked up. His eyes, bright and curious, scanned the room. When they landed on Ethan, the boy tilted his head. Those eyes. Ethan knew those eyes. He saw them every morning in the mirror. The champagne glass slipped from Ethan's hand. It shattered on the marble floor. The sound echoed through the silent ballroom like a gunshot. "Ethan!" Clara's voice cut through the chaos. She stood at the back of the room in her wedding dress, her face twisted in confusion and anger. "What is happening?" Maya stood up quickly, each boy holding one of her hands. Her eyes met Ethan's again. This time there was no hiding the emotion there. Fear, sadness, something else he couldn't name. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. The words were meant only for him, but in the silence everyone heard them. "I didn't know you'd be here. They told me it was the Anderson wedding." "You know her." Clara's voice rose. She marched down the aisle, her veil trailing behind her. "Someone tell me what is going on." Ethan couldn't speak. His throat had closed up. His whole body felt frozen. One of the boys, the one who'd looked at him, tugged on Maya's coat. "Mama, why is everyone staring?" It's okay, baby, Maya whispered. She started backing toward the door, pulling the children with her. Wait! The word finally broke free from Ethan's chest. Maya, wait! She stopped. Tears shimmered in her eyes. You need to leave, Clara said, reaching Ethan's side. She grabbed his arm. This is my wedding day. Whoever you are, you need to get out. Clara, Ethan's voice sounded strange to his own ears, hollow, distant. I need a minute. A minute? Ethan, we're getting married in 5 minutes. I need to talk to her. Talk to who, the caterer? Clara looked at Maya with disgust. What could you possibly need to say to her? Everything. Ethan pulled his arm free. I need to say everything. He walked toward Maya. Each step felt like moving through water. The guests whispered louder now. Phones came out. Someone was definitely recording this. He didn't care. When he reached Maya, he could see the details he'd memorized 3 years ago. The small scar above her left eyebrow, the way her bottom lip was slightly fuller than her top lip, the gold flecks in her brown eyes. Is it you? He whispered. Is it really you? Yes. Her voice broke on the word. And they... He looked down at the boys. They stared back at him with innocent curiosity. Are they yours? Yes. Are they mine? The question hung in the air like smoke. Maya's tears finally spilled over. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. How old are they? Ethan asked. 2. They turned 2 last month. Ethan did the math. 3 years since he'd last seen her. 9 months, 2 years. It added up perfectly. It added up terribly. You never told me. It wasn't an accusation. Just a fact. A painful, impossible fact. You left, Maya said softly. You were gone. I looked for you. I called. I sent letters. I never got them. Her voice hardened slightly. I got nothing. Just silence. That's not true. I tried. This is insane. Clara's shriek interrupted them. She pushed between them, her face red. Ethan, stop this right now. Everyone is watching. Let them watch. Ethan couldn't look away from Maya, from his sons. His sons. The thought was too big to fit in his head. If you walk away from me now, Clara's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. We're done. The wedding's off. The business deal with my father's off. Everything we've built. I don't care. The words came out clear and certain. Maybe the most certain he'd felt in 3 years. Clara gasped. You don't mean that? I do. He finally looked at her. I'm sorry, Clara, but I can't do this. Not now. Not like this. You're choosing her? Clara pointed at Maya. Some random woman with kids you don't even know are yours? They're mine. Ethan looked back at the boys. One of them was sucking his thumb. The other was trying to hide behind Maya's leg. I can see it. Anyone could see it. DNA test, Clara snapped. Before you throw your life away, get a DNA test. Clara. Mark appeared beside them, his voice low and urgent. Maybe we should all take a breath, move this somewhere private. Private? Clara laughed, but there was no humor in it. Look around. Everyone's filming. This will be all over social media in 10 minutes. My father will kill me. My mother... Her voice cracked. How could you do this to me? Ethan felt guilt twist in his stomach. Clara didn't deserve this. Whatever else was true, she didn't deserve to be humiliated on her wedding day. I'm sorry, he said. I truly am, but I can't marry you, not now. Clara's face crumpled, then hardened. Fine. You want her? Have her. But don't come crawling back when you realize she just wants your money. She spun on her heel and stormed out. Several of her bridesmaids hurried after her. The guests erupted in loud conversation. Maya took a step back. I should go. I shouldn't have come. Please. Ethan reached out, but stopped short of touching her. Don't leave. Not yet. I need to understand. I need to know. You need to fix this. Maya gestured to the chaos around them. You have a wedding to cancel, guests to talk to. I can't be here for this. When can I see you? When can we talk? I don't know. She looked overwhelmed, scared. This is too much. Mama, I'm hungry, one of the boys whined. I know, baby, we're leaving now. Maya started moving toward the door again. Wait. Ethan followed her. Please, just tell me where, tell me when, I'll be there. She paused at the door, looked back at him. The emotion in her eyes made his chest ache. Thompson's Bakery on Market Street. That's where I work. She hesitated. Come by tomorrow. After lunch rush. We can talk then. Thompson's Bakery, Ethan repeated. I'll be there. Come alone. Her voice was firm. This is complicated enough. I will. I promise. Maya nodded once. Then she was gone, the boys' chatter fading as the door closed behind them. Ethan stood there staring at the empty doorway. His life had just exploded. His wedding was ruined, his relationship was over, but all he could think about was tomorrow. Tomorrow when he'd see her again. Tomorrow when he'd start getting answers. Well, Mark's voice came from behind him. That was dramatic. Ethan turned. The ballroom was emptying. Guests were leaving in groups, already talking on their phones. The string quartet had packed up. The roses suddenly smelled too sweet, almost sickening. What do I do? Ethan asked. Right now? You talk to Clara's parents. You apologize. You make sure they understand this wasn't planned. Mark put a hand on his shoulder. Then you figure out what the hell just happened. I know what happened. Maya's back and I have kids, sons. Maybe. Probably. But you need to be sure. I am sure. Did you see them? They have my eyes, my nose, even the way they stand. Ethan. Mark's voice was gentle. I get it. But you need to slow down, think this through. I've thought enough. Ethan pulled off his tie. It suddenly felt like it was choking him. I spent 3 years trying not to think about her, trying to move on, building this life I thought I was supposed to want. He laughed bitterly. And she was here in Charleston the whole time. You didn't know. That's the problem. Why didn't I know? Why didn't she tell me? Maybe she tried. She said she didn't get my letters. But I sent them. I know I sent them. Mark frowned. Where did you send them? To her apartment, the one near the university. Ethan paused. But she must have moved. After 3 years. Yeah, probably. Ethan's mind raced. Something didn't add up. Maya had said she got nothing. Just silence. But he'd tried. He'd really tried to find her after that fight. After she'd disappeared. I need to go home, Ethan said. I need to think. Want me to come with you? No. I need to be alone. Mark looked worried but nodded. Call me if you need anything. And Ethan, be careful. Whatever happened between you two, 3 years is a long time. People change. Not Maya. Ethan said it with certainty. She was the most honest person I ever met. Then why didn't she tell you about the kids? The question hit Ethan hard. He didn't have an answer. The hotel room felt like a cage. Ethan had changed out of his wedding suit into jeans and a t-shirt. He'd turned off his phone after the 50th call. Most were from business associates, some from his mother's friends, all wanting to know what had happened. He didn't want to explain, couldn't explain, not yet. Instead, he sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall. Maya, after all this time, looking older, more tired, but still beautiful. Still the woman who'd made him feel alive in a way nothing else did. They'd met 4 years ago at a food festival. She'd been selling cupcakes from a tiny booth. He'd stopped because the line was long, always trust a crowd's opinion on food. When he finally reached the front, she'd smiled at him and asked what he wanted. Everything, he'd said without thinking. I want to try everything. She'd laughed. Actually laughed, not the polite giggle most people gave him when they realized he was Ethan Cole. Everything's a lot, she'd said. How about I pick my 3 favorites for you? Deal. But only if you tell me about them. That's how it started, simple, easy. She'd talked about baking like other people talked about breathing, like it was essential, like it was joy itself. He'd stood there eating the best red velvet cupcake of his life, while she explained the importance of real vanilla, and how her grandmother had taught her to measure by feel, not cups. He'd asked for her number. She'd given it without hesitation. For 6 months, they'd been inseparable. She'd made him laugh, made him forget about quarterly reports and business deals, made him remember why he'd gone into food in the first place, because it brought people together, because it mattered. And then, his father had found out. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut against the memory. His father standing in his office, face red with anger. A baker? You're dating a baker from some no-name school? Ethan, you're a Cole. We have standards. She's amazing, Dad. If you'd just meet her. I don't need to meet her. I need you to end this. Now, before it becomes a problem. She's not a problem. I love her. His father had laughed, actually laughed. Love? You're 29 years old. You don't know what love is. You know what this is? It's you being distracted, losing focus. I'm not losing anything. Then prove it. End this relationship. Show me you're serious about this company, about your future. They'd fought, badly. Ethan had left angry, had driven to Maya's apartment to vent, to hold her and forget his father's words. But when he got there, they'd fought too. About his family, about his father's disapproval, about whether Ethan would ever really stand up for what he wanted. You let him control you, Maya had said, tears in her eyes. You're so worried about being the perfect son you forget to be yourself. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you did something just because you wanted to, not because it was good for business or made your father happy? I'm with you, aren't I? For now, until it gets too hard, until Daddy threatens to cut you off. That's not... I wouldn't... But his phone had rung. His father. Heart attack. Hospital. Come now. Ethan had left, rushed to the hospital, spent the night watching machines beep while his father struggled to breathe. And when morning came, when the doctors said his father was stable, Ethan had driven back to Maya's apartment to apologize, to make things right. But she was gone. The apartment was empty, her furniture gone. No note, no explanation, just gone. He'd called her phone. It was disconnected. He'd asked her neighbors. They said she'd moved out in the middle of the night. He'd gone to her school. They said she'd withdrawn. She'd vanished like smoke. Ethan had searched for weeks, had hired people to find her. But Charleston was a big city, and Maya Thompson was apparently a common enough name that the trail went cold fast. Eventually, his father recovered. Eventually, life moved on. Ethan threw himself into work, opened 3 more restaurants, met Clara at a charity gala, started dating because it was easier than being alone. And now, 3 years later, here she was, with his sons, living in Charleston the whole time. Why hadn't she told him? Why hadn't she tried to find him? Ethan stood up and walked to the window. The city sparkled below. Somewhere out there, Maya was putting those boys to bed, his boys, reading them stories, kissing their foreheads, and he'd missed it, all of it. The pregnancy, the birth, their first words, first steps, everything. The anger surprised him with its intensity, not at Maya, at the situation, at the 3 years lost, at whatever had kept them apart. Tomorrow, he thought. Tomorrow he'd get answers. He just hoped he was ready to hear them. Sleep didn't come. Ethan lay awake all night, watching shadows move across the ceiling. His mind wouldn't shut off. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those boys, their faces, their eyes, his sons. The words still didn't feel real. By sunrise, he'd given up on sleep. He showered, dressed in jeans and a simple button-down, casual. He didn't want to show up looking like he was going to a business meeting. But Thompson's bakery didn't open until 7, and Maya had said to come after the lunch rush. That meant waiting until at least 2 o'clock. How was he supposed to wait 8 more hours? He tried to eat breakfast. Couldn't. The toast tasted like cardboard. The coffee burned his tongue. His phone buzzed constantly. He ignored it. Finally, Mark showed up at his door. "You look terrible," Mark said, pushing past him into the hotel room. "I didn't sleep, obviously." Mark set down a bag from a coffee shop. "Eat something. You need energy." "I'm not hungry." "Eat anyway." Mark's voice had that tone, the one that meant he wasn't arguing. Ethan grabbed a bagel from the bag and took a bite. It might as well have been sawdust. "Clara's father called me," Mark said, settling into a chair. "He wants to know if you're planning to back out of the restaurant partnership." "I don't know. I haven't thought about it." "You need to think about it. That deal is worth $3 million. "I know what it's worth." "Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you just threw away your engagement, humiliated one of Charleston's most prominent families, and probably lost the biggest business opportunity of your career." Mark paused. "All for a woman you haven't seen in 3 years. She has my kids." "Maybe. You don't know that for sure." "I know." "How? Because they have your eyes?" "Lots of kids have brown eyes, Ethan." Ethan set down the bagel. "It's more than that. I know it sounds crazy, but when I looked at them, I just knew." Mark sighed. "Okay, let's say you're right. Let's say they are yours. Then what? You suddenly become a dad? You have no idea how to take care of kids." "I can learn." "And Maya? What about her? You two had a bad breakup. She disappeared without a word. Why would she want you involved now?" "I don't know. That's what I need to find out." "Be careful," Mark warned. "Whatever happened between you two, there's a reason she didn't contact you when she got pregnant. Maybe she doesn't want you around. Maybe she's got someone else now." The thought hit Ethan like a punch to the gut. He hadn't considered that. Of course, Maya might have moved on. 3 years was a long time. She could be married, could have a boyfriend. "I still need to know," Ethan said quietly. "I need to understand what happened, why she left, why she didn't tell me. And if the answers aren't what you want to hear, then at least I'll know, at least I'll have closure." Mark studied him for a long moment. "You're really going to do this? Walk away from everything for a chance at something that might not even work out? Not walking away, just reprioritizing. Your father would be furious." "My father's dead." The words came out sharper than Ethan intended. "And I'm tired of living by his rules, making his choices, being the son he wanted instead of the man I am." "Fair enough." Mark stood up. "But think about this. If those kids are yours, They've been fine without you for 2 years. Maya's been managing on her own. Maybe she doesn't need you to swoop in and play hero. This isn't about being a hero, it's about being responsible, about doing the right thing. Is it? Or is it about getting back the woman you never got over? The question hung in the air. Ethan didn't answer because he wasn't sure he could. Was this about the kids? Or about Maya? Or about the life he'd convinced himself he didn't want anymore? I have to go, Ethan said finally. It's almost 2. Want me to come with you? No. Maya said to come alone. Mark nodded. Call me after. Let me know how it goes. I will. But as Ethan grabbed his keys and headed for the door, he had no idea what how it goes would even look like. Would Maya be angry? Defensive? Would she let him see the boys? Would she slam the door in his face? Only one way to find out. He took a deep breath and stepped out into the afternoon sun, heading toward Market Street and whatever answers waited there. Market Street smelled like coffee and fresh bread. Tourists wandered between shops, stopping to look in windows. Street musicians played on corners. It was a beautiful afternoon, the kind Charleston was famous for. Ethan barely noticed any of it. Thompson's Bakery sat between a bookstore and a flower shop. The storefront was small but charming. White paint with soft blue trim. A hand-painted sign hung above the door showing a cupcake with swirls of frosting. Through the large window, Ethan could see display cases filled with pastries. His heart pounded as he pushed open the door. A bell chimed. The smell hit him immediately. Sugar, vanilla, butter, something with cinnamon. It smelled like comfort, like home. A young woman with pink hair stood behind the counter helping a customer. She glanced up at Ethan and smiled. Be with you in just a second. Ethan nodded. His eyes swept the small space. 6 tables. Walls painted a warm cream color. Photos hung in simple frames, mostly pictures of baked goods, but a few of the staff. He spotted Maya in one, laughing while covered in flour. Can I help you? The pink-haired woman had finished with her customer. I'm here to see Maya. She said to come by after lunch rush. The woman's smile faltered slightly. She studied him more carefully. You're him, the guy from yesterday. Yes. Hold on. She disappeared through a doorway behind the counter. Ethan waited. His palms were sweating. He wiped them on his jeans. A minute passed, then 2. Finally, Maya emerged. She'd changed from her chef's coat into a simple blue dress. Her hair was down now, falling in soft waves past her shoulders. She looked tired, beautiful and tired. Ethan, her voice was carefully neutral. Hi. They stared at each other across the counter. The air felt thick with everything unsaid. Let's go out back, Maya said finally. More private. He followed her through the kitchen. It was small but spotlessly clean. Mixers lined one counter. Cooling racks covered another. Through a back door, they stepped into a tiny courtyard. 2 chairs and a small table sat under an awning. Plants in pots added touches of green. Maya sat down. Ethan took the other chair. Thank you for seeing me, he said. I wasn't sure you'd actually come. Why wouldn't I? Yesterday was a lot. I thought maybe in the light of day you'd realize it was all too complicated. She folded her hands in her lap. Rich men don't usually want surprise kids showing up. I'm not most rich men, aren't you? You were about to marry someone else. You've built this whole life without me, without them. The hurt in her voice cut deep. That wasn't my choice, Maya. You left. You disappeared without a word. I left? Her eyes flashed. You make it sound like I had a choice. Didn't you? No. She stood up, pacing the small courtyard. No, I didn't have a choice. Not really. Then explain it to me. Help me understand. Because I came back to your apartment the morning after our fight and you were gone. Everything was gone. Like you'd never existed. Maya stopped pacing. She turned to face him. Your father's lawyer showed up at my door that night, after you left for the hospital. Ethan felt his stomach drop. What? He said your father had a heart attack because of the stress I was causing. Said I was a distraction you couldn't afford. That if I really cared about you, I'd let you focus on what mattered. My father did that. But even as he said it, Ethan knew it was true. That was exactly something his father would do. He offered me money. $20,000 to leave Charleston. To leave you alone. Maya's voice shook. I told him to leave, but he left his card. Said to call him when I came to my senses. I didn't know. Maya, I swear I didn't know. I believe you. You were at the hospital. You had other things to worry about. She sat back down. But then, a week later, I found out I was pregnant. The words hung in the air between them. And you didn't tell me. It wasn't an accusation, just a fact, a painful fact. I tried. I called your phone. It went straight to voicemail every time. I went to your office. Your secretary said you weren't taking visitors. I even tried to talk to your father directly. She laughed bitterly. That went about as well as you'd expect. What did he say? He said if I was coming around looking for money, I could forget it. Said he'd have DNA tests done to prove the babies weren't yours. That he'd drag my name through every newspaper in Charleston if I tried to claim otherwise. Maya's hands trembled. He scared me, Ethan. I was 26, pregnant, alone, and this powerful man was threatening to destroy me. Ethan felt sick. When did this happen? When did you talk to him? About a month after you went to the hospital, right after I found out about the twins. Twins? The word still felt impossible. Did you know then? That it was two? Not at first, but yes, eventually. She smiled slightly. Ben and Leo, that's their names. Ben and Leo, Ethan repeated softly. His sons had names, real names, lives he knew nothing about. Your father died a few months later, Maya continued. I read about it in the paper. Part of me wanted to come to you then, but I was 7 months pregnant by that point, huge, scared, and I kept hearing his voice in my head, his threats. Why didn't you come after the babies were born, after my father was gone? Maya was quiet for a long moment. Pride, I guess, and fear. You'd moved on. I saw pictures of you with other women, at galas, charity events. You looked happy, like you'd forgotten all about me. I never forgot you. The words burst out before Ethan could stop them. Not for a single day. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and then you were gone. I didn't know how to move on. I went through the motions. That's what it looked like, going through the motions. Maya met his eyes. You want to know the truth? I was angry. I was hurt. You never fought for me. When your father disapproved, when things got hard, you just let me go. That's not fair. I tried to find you. Did you? Or did you make some calls, send some emails, and then give up when it got too difficult? Her voice was gentle but firm. I'm not saying this to hurt you, but you asked why I didn't tell you about the boys. This is why. Because I didn't trust that you'd actually be there, that you'd choose us over your family's approval. The words stung because they were partially true. Ethan had searched, yes, but had he searched hard enough? Or had he let himself believe Maya wanted to be gone? You're right, he said quietly. I could have done more, should have done more. I was scared of my father, of disappointing him, of losing everything I'd built. He leaned forward. But I'm not scared anymore. My father's gone. And yesterday, when I saw them, everything else just stopped mattering. For now, Maya said. But what about next week? Next month? When the reality sets in that you have 2 toddlers who need constant attention, when you realize your whole life has to change, then it changes. I want to know them, Maya. I want to be their father. You don't even know them. Then let me. Please, give me a chance. Maya studied his face. Whatever she saw there must have satisfied her because she nodded slowly. Okay, but we do this my way. Slowly. I won't have them confused or hurt because you're having some crisis. That's not what this is, isn't it? You just left someone at the altar. You blew up your whole life in front of hundreds of people. That's not the behavior of someone who's thinking clearly. I was thinking clearly for the first time in years, Ethan insisted. She was what I thought I was supposed to want. The right family, the right connections, but I never loved her. Not really. Not like, he trailed off, but Maya heard what he didn't say. Not like I loved you. Don't, she said softly. Don't go there. This isn't about us. It's about Ben and Leo, about what's best for them. What is best for them? Having a father who's present, consistent, someone they can count on. She paused. Can you be that person? I want to be. Wanting and doing are different things. I know, but let me try. Let me prove it to you. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Finally she stood. Come on. I want to show you something. She led him back through the bakery and up a narrow staircase. At the top was an apartment, small but cozy. Toys scattered across the floor. A kitchen barely big enough for 2 people. A living room with a couch that had seen better days. This is where we live, Maya said. Above the bakery. Say it's not much, but it's ours. Ethan took it all in. The crayon drawing stuck to the refrigerator, the stack of picture books on the coffee table, the 2 small pairs of shoes by the door. This was where his sons lived, this small apartment above a bakery, while he'd been living in a penthouse with a view of the harbor. Where are they? He asked. With my mum. She watches them during my afternoon shifts. Maya picked up one of the drawings from the fridge. This is from Leo. He's obsessed with trains, draws them constantly. She handed it to Ethan. It was mostly scribbles, but he could make out something that might have been a train or a caterpillar, hard to tell with toddler art. "And Ben?" he asked. "Ben loves books. He'll sit and look at the pictures for hours. He's quieter than Leo, more cautious." She smiled. "They're both perfect. I want to meet them. Properly, I mean. When can I see them?" Maya hesitated. "Tomorrow, come for lunch. Noon. But Ethan, be prepared. They're loud and messy, and they won't understand who you are. What will you tell them? The truth, that you're their father, that you didn't know about them before, but you do now, that you want to spend time with them." She met his eyes. "I won't lie to my children, not about this. I wouldn't want you to." "Good." She walked to the door, clearly ending the visit. "Noon tomorrow. Don't be late. And Ethan, don't bring gifts. Don't try to win them over with toys or money, just be yourself. Okay?" He paused at the door. "Thank you for giving me this chance. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for them. Every kid deserves to know their father." Her voice softened slightly, "even if their father is a little late showing up." Ethan drove back to his hotel in a daze. His mind replayed every word Maya had said. His father had threatened her, had driven her away, had kept his own grandchildren a secret. The anger built slowly, like a storm gathering strength. He pulled over on a side street and gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. If his father was still alive, Ethan wasn't sure what he'd do. Yell, rage, demand answers. But his father was dead, had been dead for over a year. There was no confrontation to be had, no chance to ask why. Unless an idea formed. Ethan pulled out his phone and dialed Mark. "How'd it go?" Mark answered. "My father threatened her, offered her money to leave, scared her so badly she felt like she couldn't tell me about the pregnancy." Mark was silent for a moment. "That sounds like your father. I need to know what else he did, what other interference he ran." "What do you mean?" "Maya said she tried to call me, that my calls went to voicemail, that she couldn't get past my secretary." Ethan's jaw clenched. "I want to know if he had something to do with that, if he was blocking her." "Ethan, your father's been gone for over a year. What does it matter now?" "It matters because I need to understand. I need to know the full truth." Where would you even start looking? His study, at the house. The family estate had been left to Ethan. He'd barely been there since the funeral. Too many memories, too much of his father's presence still lingering in every room. His papers are still there, his files. If he did something, there'll be a record. "You want to go through your dead father's private papers?" "Yes. That's..." Mark paused. "Actually, that makes sense. If there's evidence of what he did, you should know. Maya should know. Will you come with me?" "When?" "Now. Tonight. It's almost 5. "So," Mark sighed. "Fine. I'll meet you there in an hour." The Cole family estate sat on 5 acres just outside the city. White columns, sprawling gardens, a circular driveway that could fit 20 cars. Ethan had grown up in this house. He'd learned to ride a bike on this driveway, had his first kiss in those gardens, but it had never felt like home, just a place where he was expected to be perfect. Mark's car pulled up behind Ethan's. Together, they walked to the front door. "Still has that museum vibe," Mark commented, looking up at the columns. "That's exactly what my father wanted. Impressive, intimidating." Ethan unlocked the door. Inside, dust covers draped over furniture. The housekeeper came once a week to keep things clean, but the house felt abandoned, unloved. "Study's this way," Ethan said. His father's study was on the first floor, overlooking the garden. Dark wood paneling, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A massive desk sat in the center, polished to a shine. Ethan stood in the doorway, memories flooding back. How many times had he been called to this room? How many lectures had he endured while sitting in that uncomfortable chair across from the desk? "You okay?" Mark asked. "Yeah, just... this room holds a lot." They started searching. Mark took the filing cabinets. Ethan tackled the desk drawers. Most of it was boring. Tax documents, business records, receipts for expensive dinners and donations. Then Ethan found a locked drawer. "Hand me that letter opener," he said to Mark. "You're going to break it open?" "It's my desk now." It took some work, but the lock finally gave. Inside was a folder labeled Personal. Ethan's hands shook as he opened it. Letters, dozens of them, all addressed to Maya Thompson, all in his handwriting, all unopened. "Oh my God," Ethan whispered. Mark came to look over his shoulder. "Are those the letters I sent her? The ones she said she never got?" Ethan's voice was hollow. He intercepted them, kept them, never let her see them. There were at least 30 letters, some short, Some pages long, all desperate, all begging Maya to call him, to tell him where she was, to give him a chance to explain. Under the letters was something else. A contract. Ethan pulled it out, scanning the legal language. It was an agreement between his father and a private investigator, dated 3 years ago. The investigator had been hired to monitor and report on the whereabouts and activities of Maya Thompson. He was tracking her, Ethan said, his voice shaking. He knew where she was the whole time. There was more. Bank statements showing payments to Maya's landlord, bribes to not give Ethan her forwarding address, phone records showing calls from Maya's number to Ethan's office, each one noted as blocked or redirected. His father had systematically cut Maya out of his life, had made sure she couldn't reach him, had kept him in the dark about his own children. "I'm going to be sick," Ethan said, sitting heavily in his father's chair. Mark put a hand on his shoulder. "He's gone, man. He can't hurt you anymore, can't control you anymore." "But the damage is done. 3 years, Mark. I missed 3 years because of him. So don't miss anymore. You know the truth now. Take these." Mark gestured to the letters. "Show Maya. Let her see that you tried, that you never stopped trying." Ethan gathered the letters carefully, as if they might disintegrate in his hands. These were proof that he'd cared, that he'd tried to find her. But would it be enough? Could it make up for 3 lost years? Only one way to find out. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep again. He sat in his hotel room reading through every letter he'd written to Maya. Some made him cringe. They were so desperate, so raw. Others made him sad. He'd been so lost without her. In one letter, written 2 months after she'd disappeared, he'd written, "I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't even know if these letters are going anywhere. But I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry. For everything. For not fighting harder. For letting my father's opinion matter more than us. For being a coward. If you're reading this, please call me. Please give me a chance to make things right. I don't care what my father thinks. I don't care about any of it. I just care about you. I love you, Maya. I should have said it more when I had the chance. I love you and I'm lost without you. Please come back." He'd signed it simply. Ethan. Had he really been that vulnerable? That open? It felt like reading letters from a stranger. The Ethan who'd written these was different from the man he'd become. Harder. More guarded. Meeting Clara had seemed smart at the time. Safe. She wanted what he wanted, or what he'd convinced himself he wanted. A partnership. A merger of families and businesses. Nothing messy. Nothing that required his heart. But that Ethan, the vulnerable one who'd written these letters, that was the real him, the one he'd buried under layers of responsibility and expectation. Maya had seen that Ethan, had loved that Ethan. Could she love him again? Did he even deserve the chance? The questions circled his mind until dawn finally broke through the curtains. It was time to meet his sons. Ethan arrived at the bakery at 11:45. Too early, but he couldn't wait any longer. The pink-haired woman was behind the counter again. She gave him a knowing smile. "She said you'd probably be early. You can go on up." "Thanks." His heart hammered as he climbed the stairs. He'd brought the letters, all of them, wrapped in a folder. But he'd left them in the car. Maya was right. Today wasn't about the past. Today was about meeting Ben and Leo, his sons. He knocked on the apartment door. It opened immediately. Maya stood there in jeans and a t-shirt, flowers smudged on her cheek. "You're early." "I know, sorry. I can wait downstairs if—" "No, it's fine. Come in." The apartment was messier than yesterday. Toys everywhere. 2 plates with half-eaten sandwiches on the coffee table. The TV was playing a cartoon about talking animals, and there, on the floor, were the boys. They looked up when Ethan entered. Leo, the one who'd stared at him at the wedding, tilted his head. Ben clutched a stuffed elephant. "Ben, Leo," Maya said gently. "This is Ethan. Remember I told you he was coming?" "Hi," Ethan said. His voice came out rough. He cleared his throat. "Hi, guys." Leo stood up. He walked over completely unafraid and looked up at Ethan. "You're tall." Ethan almost laughed. "Yeah, I guess I am. Are you Mama's friend?" "Sort of. I'm your dad." The word felt huge. Too big for his mouth. Leo considered this. "Like on TV. Dad's on TV." "Yeah, like that." "Okay." And just like that, Leo went back to his toys. Ben didn't move. He watched Ethan with solemn eyes, still clutching the elephant. "Ben's shy," Maya said softly. "He takes time to warm up to people." "That's okay." Ethan lowered himself to the floor, sitting cross-legged. "I can wait," Maya smiled. "You want some coffee? Lunch will be ready in about 20 minutes. Coffee would be great." She disappeared into the kitchen. Ethan sat there watching the boys play. Leo was making car sounds, pushing a toy truck across the floor. Ben stayed where he was, but his eyes kept darting to Ethan, curious but cautious. "What's your elephant's name?" Ethan asked Ben. Ben hugged the elephant tighter. "His name is Peanut," Leo answered for his brother. "Ben takes him everywhere, even to bed." "Peanut's a good name," Ethan said. Ben's lips twitched, almost a smile. Progress, Ethan thought. Leo abandoned his truck and came over to Ethan. "Can you do voices?" "Voices? Like for the toys, different voices for different guys." "I can try." Leo handed him a plastic dinosaur. "This one's mean. He roars a lot." Ethan made a roaring sound. It was ridiculous, over the top. But Leo giggled, so Ethan did it again, louder. "Yeah, like that." Leo grabbed another dinosaur. "And this one is nice. He talks soft." They played like that for several minutes, making up a story about nice dinosaurs and mean dinosaurs. Ben eventually scooted closer, still holding Peanut, listening to the story. Maya came back with coffee, stopping in the doorway. The look on her face made Ethan's chest tight. It was wonder, and something that might have been hope. "Lunch is ready," she said. They ate at the small kitchen table, grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup. Simple food, but it tasted better than anything Ethan had eaten at his fancy restaurants. The boys told him about their favorite cartoons, about the park they liked to visit, about the cat that lived downstairs and sometimes came up to play. Normal stuff, kid stuff, and Ethan soaked up every word, trying to memorize everything. After lunch, Ben finally spoke directly to him. "Can you read?" he asked, his voice small. "Yeah, I can read." Ben disappeared and came back with a stack of picture books. He climbed onto the couch and patted the spot next to him. Ethan's throat felt tight as he sat down. Ben handed him the first book, something about a bear who couldn't sleep. As Ethan read, Ben leaned against him, just a little, but it was enough. Leo joined them after the first book, climbing onto Ethan's other side. By the third book, both boys were pressed against him, warm and solid and real. "This," Ethan thought, "this is what I've been missing. This is what matters." Maya watched from the doorway, tears shining in her eyes, and for the first time in 3 years, Ethan felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The afternoon slipped by like water through fingers. Too fast, too precious to hold on to. Ethan read 7 books. He helped build a tower of blocks that Leo immediately knocked down. He watched Ben color carefully inside the lines, while Leo scribbled all over the page. He learned that Ben didn't like carrots but loved apple slices, that Leo could count to 15 but always skipped 11, that both boys were obsessed with a cartoon about a blue dog who solved mysteries. Normal things, simple things, things every father should know about his kids. Things he was 3 years too late learning. "They need a nap," Maya said around 3 o'clock. Both boys were getting cranky, rubbing their eyes. "Can Ethan stay?" Leo asked, yawning. "That's up to him," Maya said. "Please?" Ben's small voice nearly broke Ethan's heart. "I'll stay," Ethan said. "If that's okay with your mom." Maya nodded. "Come on, boys. Let's get you down." Ethan watched as she herded them into the small bedroom. He could hear her singing softly, some lullaby he didn't recognize. Her voice was beautiful. He'd forgotten that. When she came back out, she looked exhausted. "They're asleep?" he asked. "Almost. They fight it, but once they're down, they're out for at least an hour." She sat on the couch, leaving space between them. "So, what do you think?" "I think they're amazing." "They are." Pride filled her voice. "They're the best thing I've ever done. You've done an incredible job with them. On your own. My mom helps. And the girls at the bakery, they're like aunts to the boys." She paused. "But yeah, it's mostly just been us 3. That changes now. If you'll let me, I want to help. Financially, I mean. And with time. Whatever you need." "I don't want your money, Ethan. It's not charity. They're my sons. I should have been supporting them all along. You didn't know about them. But I do now." He leaned forward. "Maya, let me do this. Please, let me at least help with the apartment, or the bakery, whatever you need." She studied him carefully. "Why?" "Because it's the right thing to do." "Is that the only reason?" The question hung between them. Ethan knew what she was really asking. Was this about the boys, or about her, about them? "No," he admitted. "It's not the only reason." "Don't." Maya stood up, wrapping her arms around herself. "Don't make this complicated. It's already complicated. More complicated then." She walked to the window, looking out at the street below. "You can't just show up after 3 years and expect everything to be like it was." "I don't expect that." "Then what do you expect?" "Honestly, I don't know." I just know that being here today with them, with you, it felt right. It felt like coming home. This isn't your home, Ethan. You have a penthouse, a business empire, a life that doesn't include an apartment above a bakery with 2 toddlers who wake up at 6 a.m. every day. What if I want it to? Maya turned to face him. For how long? A week? A month? Until the novelty wears off and you remember that being a parent is hard and exhausting and sometimes boring. You think I'm going to get bored with my own kids? I think you're used to a certain lifestyle. I think you make decisions worth millions of dollars every day. I think changing diapers and reading the same book 15 times in a row isn't going to hold your interest forever. You're wrong. Am I? Her voice rose slightly. You've spent 1 afternoon with them, Ethan. 1. And you think you're ready to be a full-time father. I know I have a lot to learn. It's not about learning. It's about commitment. It's about showing up when it's not fun, when they're sick or cranky or having meltdowns in the grocery store. Can you do that? Can you really? Ethan stood up. Yes, I can. I will. You say that now. I mean it. They stared at each other. The air felt charged, electric. I have something to show you, Ethan said quietly. It's in my car. Can I go get it? Maya hesitated, then nodded. He hurried downstairs and grabbed the folder of letters from his car. When he came back up, Maya was sitting on the couch again, her hands folded in her lap. What is this? She asked as he handed her the folder. Open it. She did. Her eyes widened as she saw the letters. All of them. All addressed to her, all unopened. I don't understand, she whispered. I found them last night, in my father's study, hidden in a locked drawer. Ethan sat beside her. He intercepted them, every single one. You weren't lying when you said you never got them. He made sure you wouldn't. Maya pulled out the first letter, then another. Her hands shook as she read the dates. There's so many. I wrote to you for almost a year. Even after everyone said you'd never come back, I kept writing. His voice cracked. I thought you didn't care, that you'd moved on and didn't want to hear from me, but you never got any of them. She opened one of the letters. Read it. Tears spilled down her cheeks. He tracked you too, Ethan continued. Hired a private investigator, paid your landlord not to give me your address, blocked your calls to my office. He had to force the words out. He knew where you were the whole time. He knew about the pregnancy, and he kept us apart anyway. Why? Maya's voice broke. Why would he do that? Because he didn't think you were good enough, because he wanted to control my life, because he was a controlling, manipulative... Ethan stopped, took a breath. He's gone now. But the damage he did, I can't undo that. I can't get those 3 years back. Maya set the letters aside and covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. Ethan wanted to reach for her, but wasn't sure if he should. Maya, I hated you, she said through her tears. For months after the boys were born, I hated you. I thought you'd abandoned me, abandoned them. I thought you didn't care. I did care. I never stopped caring. I know that now. She lowered her hands. Her eyes were red, but there was something softer in them, something like forgiveness. I'm sorry for thinking the worst of you, for not trying harder to find you. You were protecting yourself, protecting them. I understand. But if I'd just tried one more time, if I'd pushed past your secretary or showed up at your office, he would have found a way to stop you. That's what he did. He controlled everything. Ethan finally gave in to the urge and took her hand. This isn't your fault. It's his. Only his. Maya squeezed his hand. They sat like that for a long moment, hands linked, years of hurt and misunderstanding finally beginning to untangle. What do we do now? She asked softly. We move forward. We figure this out together. He paused. If you want to, if you'll let me. The boys need their father. What about you? What do you need? She pulled her hand away gently. I don't know yet. This is all so fast. Yesterday you were getting married to someone else. Today you're sitting in my apartment talking about being a family. I know it's fast. It's not just fast, it's terrifying. She stood up, pacing again. What if you change your mind? What if you decide this is too hard? I can handle that. I've been handling things on my own for years, but Ben and Leo, they're starting to like you. If you disappear, it'll hurt them. I won't disappear. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. Ethan stood too. Maya, look at me. I'm not going anywhere. I missed 3 years. I'm not missing another day if I can help it. People say things they don't mean all the time. I'm not people, I'm me. And when I make a promise, I keep it. She searched his face. Okay, but we take this slow. You can visit, spend time with them, but I won't have them confused about where we stand. Where do we stand? I don't know yet. Her voice was honest, gentle but firm. I don't trust easily anymore. You'll have to earn it. I will, however long it takes. A sound came from the bedroom. One of the boys was awake. Leo, Maya said with a small smile. He never sleeps as long as Ben. Leo appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. Mama, I'm thirsty. I'll get you some water. Maya headed to the kitchen. Leo spotted Ethan and brightened. You stayed. I told you I would. Can we play more dinosaurs? Absolutely. And just like that, they were back on the floor, making roaring sounds and creating elaborate stories about dinosaur families. When Maya brought Leo his water, she stood watching them. The expression on her face made Ethan's chest ache. It was hope, mixed with caution, like she wanted to believe but was afraid to. He'd spent years building a business, building wealth, building a reputation. But this, earning Maya's trust, being a father to his sons, this would be the hardest thing he'd ever build, and the most important. Over the next 2 weeks, Ethan fell into a routine. He came to the apartment every afternoon. Sometimes he brought lunch, sometimes Maya cooked. They ate together, played with the boys, read stories. He learned that Ben was afraid of loud noises but loved thunderstorms, that Leo would eat anything except peas, that both boys liked to help Maya bake, though they made more mess than actual help. He learned that Maya worked incredibly hard, up at 5 to prep the bakery, managing employees, creating new recipes, handling deliveries and customers, all while raising 2 toddlers mostly alone. Your mom doesn't help during the day? He asked one afternoon, while Maya rolled out dough for pie crusts. She works at the library. She watches the boys in the evenings when I need to do administrative stuff or handle late orders. Maya's hands moved with practiced ease. She's been amazing. I couldn't have done this without her. I'd like to meet her. Properly, I mean. Maya glanced at him. She knows you're back. She's cautious. She doesn't trust me. Can you blame her? She watched me fall apart when you disappeared. She was there through the pregnancy, the birth, the sleepless nights. She saw how hard it was. No, I can't blame her. Ethan watched Maya work. Will she let me apologize? Eventually, but Mom's protective. She needs to see that you're serious about this. I am serious. I know, but proving it takes time. Time. That seemed to be the theme. Everything took time. Trust took time. Relationships took time. Becoming a real father took time. Ethan had never been patient. He was used to making decisions quickly, taking action, getting results. But this wasn't business. This was family. And family couldn't be rushed. Still, there were moments that felt like progress, like when Ben reached for his hand while crossing the street, or when Leo asked if Ethan would come to his birthday party next month, or when Maya laughed at one of his jokes, really laughed the way she used to. Those moments kept him going. But there were hard moments too, like when he had to leave at bedtime and both boys cried, or when Ben asked why Ethan didn't live with them, or when Maya pulled away if he got too close, too comfortable. I'm not ready, she'd say. Please understand, I'm not there yet. And he did understand, but it didn't make it easier. On Thursday of the 2nd week, disaster struck. Ethan arrived at the bakery to find it dark. The closed sign hung in the window. His stomach dropped. He called Maya. No answer. He tried the apartment door. Locked. Panic rising, he called the pink-haired employee. Jessica, he'd learned her name was. Oh, Ethan, she answered. Maya didn't call you. No, what's wrong? Is she okay? Are the boys okay? They're fine, but there was a power surge this morning. Fried all the ovens. We can't bake anything. Maya's at the repair shop now, trying to figure out how much it'll cost to fix. Which repair shop? Jessica gave him the address. Ethan was in his car before she finished the sentence. He found Maya in a small shop that smelled like grease and metal. She was talking to a man in coveralls, her face pale with stress. Understand it's expensive, but isn't there any way to reduce the cost? She was saying. Sorry, ma'am. These are commercial ovens. The parts alone are $2,000 each. Labor on top of that. You're looking at $6,000 minimum. Maya's hand went to her mouth. I don't have that kind of money right now. I can put you on the schedule, but we'll need 50% up front. Ethan stepped forward. I'll cover it. Maya spun around. Ethan, what are you doing here? Jessica told me what happened. He pulled out his wallet. How much do you need? No. Maya's voice was sharp. No, I told you I don't want your money. This isn't about pride, Maya. Your business is in trouble. Let me help. I can figure it out. How? The bakery's closed. You're losing money every day you can't bake. I'll get a loan. Or I'll work something out with my suppliers. That'll take weeks. You could lose customers, lose contracts. He turned to the repairman. How fast can you do the job if I pay in full right now? The man's eyebrows rose. Today's Thursday. I could have you up and running by Saturday morning. Do it. Ethan pulled out his credit card. Ethan, stop. Maya grabbed his arm. I mean it. This is my business, my responsibility. And they're my sons. If you can't work, you can't take care of them. Let me do this. That's not fair. What's not fair is my father sabotaging you 3 years ago. What's not fair is you struggling alone when I have resources to help. His voice softened. Please, Maya, let me do this one thing. She stared at him. Her eyes were wet. I hate feeling like I can't handle my own life. You're handling it. You've been handling it. But everyone needs help sometimes. The repairman cleared his throat awkwardly. So, are we doing this or not? Maya closed her eyes. Nodded. Okay. But I'm paying you back. We'll talk about that later. Ethan handed over his card. Outside, Maya leaned against the building and covered her face. This is so embarrassing. Why? Because I'm supposed to be independent, strong, and here you are rescuing me like I'm some damsel in distress. You are strong. You're one of the strongest people I know. Ethan stood beside her, not touching but close. But being strong doesn't mean doing everything alone. I'm not good at accepting help. I noticed. She laughed shakily. I hate that you had to see me like this, desperate, broke. You're not broke. You just hit a rough patch. It happens to every business owner. He paused. When I opened my second restaurant, a fire in the kitchen shut us down for 3 weeks. I almost lost everything. Mark had to loan me money to make payroll. Really, really. Success isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up. Maya was quiet for a moment. Thank you for helping. Even though I was difficult about it. You weren't difficult. You were proud. There's a difference. My mom used to say pride can keep you warm at night, but it won't pay the bills. Your mom sounds smart. She is. Maya pushed off from the wall. I should get back. The boys are with her and she has to work tonight. Can I come? You don't have to. I know you have your own work. Maya, can I come? She met his eyes. Yeah, okay. They drove separately back to the apartment. When they arrived, an older woman was there with the boys. She had Maya's eyes and smile, though her hair was streaked with grey. This was Grace, Maya's mother. She looked at Ethan with an expression that was polite but guarded. So you're him. Mom, Maya said warningly. It's okay. Ethan extended his hand. I'm Ethan. It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Thompson. Ms. Thompson, she corrected, shaking his hand briefly. I kept my name after the divorce. Ms. Thompson, Ethan repeated. Grandma! Leo ran over. Look what I drew. Grace's whole face softened as she looked at the drawing. That's beautiful, baby. Is that a rocket ship? It's a train. To the moon. Of course it is. How silly of me. She spent a few more minutes with the boys, hugging them goodbye. Then she pulled Maya aside. Ethan tried not to listen, but the apartment was small. Be careful, Grace said quietly. I know he's their father, but that doesn't mean you have to let him back into your heart. I'm being careful. Are you? Because I've seen the way you look at him, like you used to, like you're falling again. Mom, I just don't want you hurt. Not again. Grace's voice was fierce with protection. Those boys need you strong, focused, not distracted by a man who left once before. He didn't leave, we know that now. So he says, so some convenient letters claim. Grace sighed. Look, I'm not saying he's lying. I'm just saying people can change in 3 years. Make sure you know who he is now, not who he was. Maya glanced at Ethan. He quickly looked away, pretending to be very interested in the cartoon on TV. I will, Maya promised her mother. I'm being smart about this. Good. Grace kissed her daughter's cheek. I have to go. Call me if you need anything. After she left, the apartment felt tense. She doesn't like me, Ethan said. She doesn't know you. Maya started picking up toys, and what she does know isn't great. I'm sorry if she was rude. She wasn't rude. She was protective. I respect that. She'll come around eventually. But Ethan wasn't so sure. Grace had looked at him like he was a threat, like he might hurt her daughter and grandsons at any moment. Maybe she was right to be worried. Ethan still didn't know what he was doing. He was making this up as he went along, hoping he didn't screw it up too badly. Hey, Maya said softly, don't overthink it. My mum's always like this with new people. I'm not new people. I'm the guy who got her daughter pregnant and then vanished for 3 years. You didn't vanish, you were kept away. There's a difference. Try telling your mum that. Maya smiled slightly. I'll work on her. In the meantime, you want to help make dinner. What are we having? Mac and cheese, the boys' favorite. From a box. From scratch, thank you very much. I'm a professional baker. I don't do boxes. They cooked together in the tiny kitchen. It was crowded. They kept bumping into each other, but it felt good, domestic, like a glimpse of what life could be. The boys helped by stirring the cheese sauce and taste testing constantly. By the time dinner was ready, they'd probably eaten half of it in samples. They ate at the little table, knees touching underneath. Leo told a long, rambling story about a dog he'd seen at the park. Ben quietly ate his mac and cheese, occasionally adding a detail to Leo's story. This, Ethan thought. I want this. Every day, forever. But forever was a long time, and Maya still looked at him sometimes like she wasn't sure if he was real or if he'd disappear like smoke. He had to prove he was real, had to prove he wasn't going anywhere. But how? The answer came the next day in the form of a phone call from Clara. The call came Friday morning while Ethan was in a meeting with Mark. They were going over quarterly reports, but Ethan's mind was elsewhere. He kept thinking about the boys, about Maya, about how her kitchen smelled like vanilla and cinnamon. His phone buzzed. Clara's name flashed on the screen. He let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, she called again. You should probably answer that, Mark said. She's not going to stop. Ethan sighed and stepped out of the conference room. Clara, finally. Her voice was cold, sharp. I've been calling for 2 weeks. I know. I'm sorry. I just didn't think we had anything to say. Well, we do. I'm at the bakery, Thompson's Bakery, and I think you should get down here. Ethan's blood went cold. What are you doing there? Fixing the mess you made. Someone has to. She hung up. Ethan ran. He made it to Market Street in record time, parking illegally and sprinting the last block. Through the bakery window, he could see Clara standing at the counter. She wore a designer suit and heels. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup flawless. She looked completely out of place among the pastries and casual customers. Jessica stood behind the counter, looking uncomfortable. Several customers were staring. Ethan burst through the door. Clara, what are you doing? There you are. She turned to him with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I was just chatting with your girlfriend's employee. Very enlightening. She's not my girlfriend. Oh? Then what is she? Baby mama? Side piece you knocked up and forgot about? Several customers gasped. One pulled out her phone. Outside, Ethan said through clenched teeth. Now. Clara's smile widened. Why? Afraid of what people might hear? I'm not doing this here. Fine. She turned to Jessica. Tell Maya I stopped by. Tell her Ethan's ex-fiancé wanted to meet the woman who ruined her life. She swept out of the bakery. Ethan followed, his fists clenched. Outside, Clara whirled on him. 2 weeks. You humiliated me in front of 300 people. You ended our engagement on our wedding day. And you haven't had the decency to even call. You're right, I should have called, I'm sorry. Sorry? She laughed bitterly. Sorry doesn't fix this, Ethan. Do you know what the past 2 weeks have been like for me? Everyone talking, everyone pitying me. My mother won't leave her house. My father's business partners are asking questions. I know I hurt you. You destroyed me. Her voice rose. I loved you. I was going to marry you, build a life with you. And you threw it all away for some woman you dated years ago. She has my children. So you say. Have you even done a paternity test? Or are you just taking her word for it? I don't need a test. I know they're mine. How? Because they have your eyes? Clara's voice dripped with sarcasm. That's not exactly scientific, Ethan. It's more than that. Then what? What makes you so certain you'd blow up your entire life? Ethan struggled to find the words. Because when I look at them, I feel it. In my chest, in my bones. I know it sounds crazy, but I just know. Clara stared at him. Then she laughed, a harsh, broken sound. You never looked at me like that. Not once in 2 years. The truth of that hit hard. No, I didn't. And you deserved better. Don't. She held up a hand. Don't you dare give me the "it's not you, it's me" speech. Save it. Clara, you know what the worst part is? I knew. Deep down, I knew you didn't love me. Not really, I just kept telling myself it didn't matter. That respect and partnership were enough. She looked away, blinking rapidly. But it's not enough, is it? No, Ethan said softly. It's not. She must be really special. This Maya. She is. Does she love you back? The question caught him off guard. I don't know. But you're hoping she will. I'm hoping we can build something for the boys. Maybe for us too, if she'll let me. Clara was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was tired. I didn't come here to make a scene. I came because I need closure. I need to understand why I wasn't enough. You were enough. More than enough. Just not for me. Ethan met her eyes. You deserve someone who looks at you the way I look at Maya. Someone who can't imagine living without you. That person exists, Clara. It's just not me. She nodded slowly. A single tear escaped, running down her cheek. She wiped it away quickly. My father wants his money back. The investment he was going to make in your restaurants. He can have it, all of it. Good. She straightened her shoulders. I suppose this is goodbye then. I really am sorry. For everything. I know. She turned to leave, then paused. Ethan, don't screw this up. If you're giving up everything for her, make sure it's worth it. Make sure you're all in. Because if you hurt her the way you hurt me. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Clara walked away, heels clicking on the sidewalk. Ethan watched her go, feeling the weight of what he'd done settle on his shoulders. He'd hurt her. Badly. And no amount of apologies could fix that. But she was right about one thing. If he was doing this, really doing this, he had to be all in. No doubts. No backup plans. He had to choose. Really, choose. The bakery or the business empire. Maya or the life his father had planned. Love or security. It wasn't even a hard choice. He pulled out his phone and called Mark. What's up? Mark answered. I need you to schedule a meeting with the board. Monday morning. Okay. What for? I'm selling my shares. All of them. I'm out. Silence. Then, Ethan, don't make rash decisions. It's not rash. I've been thinking about it since the wedding. That wasn't entirely true, but it felt right. This business, Dad's business, it was never really mine. I was just maintaining his legacy. It's worth millions. I know. And I'll still have money. More than enough. But I want to build something new, something that's actually mine. Like what? Ethan looked at the bakery. Through the window, he could see Jessica restocking the display case, could see customers laughing over coffee and pastries. I don't know yet, he admitted, but I'll figure it out. Maya know about this? Not yet. You should tell her. Before you do something you can't take back. I will. Ethan ended the call. He went back inside. The customers had returned to their conversations, though a few still watched him curiously. Is everything okay? Jessica asked. Yeah. Where's Maya? Upstairs with the boys. She took her lunch break. Ethan climbed the stairs, his heart pounding. He didn't know what he was going to say. He just knew he needed to see her. He knocked. The door opened immediately. Maya stood there in flour-dusted jeans and a tank top, looking worried. Jessica texted me. She said Clara was here. She was. She's gone now. Is everything okay? Can I come in? Maya stepped aside. The boys were at the table, eating peanut butter sandwiches. They waved at Ethan before returning to their lunch. What did Clara want? Maya asked quietly. Closure. An explanation. To tell me her father's pulling his investment. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. I hurt her. I know that doesn't change anything, but I needed to say it. What I did, leaving her at the altar, that was cruel. You had your reasons. I did, but she didn't deserve to be humiliated like that. He paused. She came here to see you, to understand why. What did you tell her? The truth, that I never loved her the way she deserved to be loved. Maya's expression was unreadable. And how's that? The way I love you. The words hung in the air. Heavy, true, terrifying. Maya's eyes went wide. Ethan, I know it's too soon. I know you're not ready, but I can't keep pretending. He took a step closer. I love you, Maya. I never stopped, and I don't want to waste any more time acting like this is just about the boys. It has to be about the boys. Why? Because we're not those people anymore. We're not 20-somethings with no responsibilities. We have children who need stability, who need us to make smart choices. Loving you is a smart choice. Is it? Or is it nostalgia? Or guilt? Or it's love? His voice was firm, certain. I know the difference now. With Clara, I felt nothing. Comfortable, maybe, safe, but empty. He gestured between them. This isn't empty, this is everything. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. You're moving too fast. I've waited 3 years. That feels pretty slow to me. You didn't wait. You lived. You built a life without me. I existed. That's not the same as living. Ethan wanted to touch her but kept his distance. I'm not asking you to marry me. I'm not asking you to let me move in. I'm just asking you to admit there's something here, something worth exploring. I can't. Why not? Because I'm scared. The words burst out of her. I'm terrified, Ethan. Last time I loved you, it destroyed me. I spent months crying, months wondering what I did wrong, months trying to pick up the pieces while growing 2 human beings inside me. Her voice shook. I can't go through that again. You won't have to. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. Maya, I'm selling the company. She blinked. What? My father's restaurant empire, the board meetings and quarterly reports and business deals, I'm done. I'm selling my shares and walking away. You can't do that. I already decided. The meeting's Monday. Ethan, that's your whole life. No, my whole life is standing in front of me. You and Ben and Leo, that's what matters, not profit margins and expansion plans. He moved closer. I want to build something real. Maybe another restaurant. Maybe something else. But whatever it is, I want to build it with you, near you, for our family. Tears streamed down Maya's face. You don't mean that. You'll regret it. The only thing I regret is the time I wasted. Time I should have spent fighting for you. I don't want you to give up everything for me. I'm not giving up anything. I'm choosing. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing what I want instead of what I'm supposed to want. What if it doesn't work? What if we try and it falls apart? Then at least we'll know, at least we'll have tried. He finally closed the distance between them, taking her hands. I'm not my father, Maya. I'm not going to control you or threaten you or keep us apart. I'm just going to love you every day as best as I can. This is crazy. Yeah, it is. People will talk. They'll say I'm using you for money. Let them talk. Clara's family, they're powerful. They could make things difficult. I don't care. Your business partners, Maya. He squeezed her hands gently. Stop finding reasons why we shouldn't do this. Give me one reason why we should. She looked up at him. Her eyes were swimming with tears, but there was something else there too. Something that looked like hope. Because I love you too, she whispered. Because I never stopped. Because I'm tired of being angry and scared and alone. Then don't be alone anymore. It's that simple? It's that simple. She laughed through her tears. Nothing about this is simple. No, but it's worth it. Daddy, why is Mama crying? Leo's small voice interrupted. They both turned. The boys were watching them with worried expressions. Happy tears? Maya said quickly, wiping her face. Sometimes people cry when they're happy. Are you happy? Ben asked. Maya looked at Ethan. Yeah, baby, I am. Good. Leo went back to his sandwich. Crisis averted. Ethan pulled Maya into his arms. She came willingly, resting her head against his chest. He could feel her heartbeat, quick and uncertain but strong. We'll take it slow, he murmured into her hair. However slow you need. Thank you. But Maya, I'm not going anywhere. I'll wait as long as it takes. She pulled back to look at him. What if it takes forever? Then I'll wait forever. She smiled. A real smile, bright and full of possibility. That's pretty dramatic. You bring it out in me. This time when he leaned down, she met him halfway. The kiss was soft, tentative, like a question they were both trying to answer. And when they pulled apart, Ethan knew this was right. This was home. It wouldn't be easy. There would be hard days, doubts, struggles, but they'd face them together. So, Maya said, still in his arms, you're really selling everything? Everything. And then what? I have some ideas, but I want your input, my input. You're the creative one. I'm just the guy with money. He grinned. We could be partners, build something together. Like what? I don't know. A bigger bakery? A restaurant? A chain of both? He could see it forming in his mind. Something that's ours. Something we create from scratch. Maya bit her lip, clearly thinking. That sounds amazing and terrifying. Most good things are. You know nothing about baking. I know how to run a business, and I know quality when I taste it. Your pastries are the best I've ever had. You're biased. I'm honest. He kissed her forehead. Think about it. You don't have to decide now. Okay. She stepped back, smoothing her hair. I should get back to work. The afternoon rush will start soon. Can I stay? I could help. You want to work in a bakery? I want to be near you. If that means wearing an apron and serving cupcakes, so be it. She laughed. You're serious. Completely. All right. But you take orders from Jessica. She's the afternoon manager. Yes, ma'am. He spent the rest of the afternoon working the counter, taking orders, making coffee, chatting with customers. It was different from running board meetings. Simpler, but also harder in its own way. Every customer had a story, a reason they came, a preference for how they took their coffee. He had to remember names, had to be friendly, had to actually connect with people instead of just managing them from a distance. And he loved it. By closing time, his feet hurt, and his shirt had coffee stains, but he felt more satisfied than he had in years. You did good, Jessica said as they cleaned up. For a rich guy, you're not terrible at customer service. Thanks, I think. Maya came down from putting the boys to bed. She looked tired but happy. Did he behave himself? He only messed up 3 orders, Jessica teased. They were complicated orders. Both women laughed. It felt good, easy, like he belonged here. After Jessica left, Maya and Ethan finished closing up together, wiping tables, sweeping floors, turning off lights. "My mom wants to meet you again," Maya said as they worked. "Properly this time. Dinner tomorrow night. Is that her idea or yours?" "Mine." But she agreed. Sort of. She said, and I quote, "Fine, but if he breaks your heart again, I'm breaking his kneecaps." Ethan laughed. "Fair enough. I'll take that deal." "She's serious. So am I." They finished cleaning and walked upstairs together. At the apartment door, Maya paused. "Thank you," she said, "for today, for everything. You don't have to thank me." "I do. You could have walked away, could have decided this was all too complicated, but you stayed. Where else would I go?" She smiled and rose up on her toes to kiss him. Just a soft press of lips, a promise of more to come. "Good night, Ethan." "Good night, Maya." He floated home. There was no other word for it. His feet didn't quite touch the ground. That night he started making plans, real plans, for a future that included early mornings and bedtime stories, flour on his clothes and small hands in his, arguments about vegetables and laughter over silly jokes, a future with Maya, with Ben and Leo, with a family he'd choose every single day. Monday morning, Ethan walked into the board meeting with his head high. Mark gave him a look that said, "Are you sure?" Ethan nodded. "Gentlemen," he began, "thank you for coming on short notice. I have an announcement." The next hour was a blur of contracts and negotiations. His business partners tried to change his mind. They offered more money, more power, more everything. But Ethan's mind was made up. By noon, it was done. He'd sold his shares for an amount that would keep him comfortable for several lifetimes. The Cole restaurant empire would continue without him, and he felt lighter than he had in years. He drove straight to the bakery. Maya was in the kitchen, working on a wedding cake, 5 tiers of white frosting and delicate sugar flowers. It looked like the cake she'd brought to his almost wedding. "Is that—" he started. "No, different couple." She glanced at him. "How did it go?" "It's done. I'm officially unemployed." "How does it feel?" "Terrifying. Exciting. Right." She set down her piping bag and wiped her hands. "So what now?" "Now I start figuring out what comes next." He came closer. "With you, if you'll have me. As a business partner. As whatever you'll let me be." Maya was quiet for a moment, then, "I have a confession." "Okay. I've been thinking about expanding, maybe opening a second location, or starting a catering company, but I didn't have the capital or the time. And now? Now I have a partner with both." She smiled. "If he's interested, very interested. There's one condition. Name it. You have to let me teach you to bake, really bake, no shortcuts. No calling it cooking. Baking. Deal." She held out her hand. He shook it, then pulled her close. "I love you," he said. "I love you too." She kissed him, soft and sweet. "Now let's go tell the boys." They went upstairs together. Ben and Leo were playing with blocks, building a tower taller than themselves. "Boys," Maya said, "Ethan has some news." Both boys looked up. "I'm going to be around a lot more now," Ethan said. "Every day. Is that okay with you?" "Yeah," Leo jumped up. "Can we play dinosaurs every day?" "Every single day." Ben walked over and took Ethan's hand. "Are you staying forever now?" The question was simple, direct, the kind only a child could ask. Ethan knelt down to Ben's level. "Yes, I'm staying forever." "Good." Ben hugged him. "I like you. I like you too, buddy." Leo piled on, and suddenly Ethan was in the middle of a twin sandwich being squeezed from both sides. Over their heads he met Maya's eyes. She was crying again, happy tears. This was his family, messy and imperfect and absolutely perfect. This was home. 6 months later, everything had changed, and nothing had changed. Ethan still showed up at the bakery every morning, but now he had his own apron, his own station, his own specialties. Turned out he had a talent for bread. Who knew? They'd started planning the expansion. A second location was in the works. Maya handled the creative side, recipes, design, branding. Ethan handled the business side, contracts, permits, finances. They were partners in every sense of the word. The boys had adjusted beautifully. They called him Daddy without hesitation now. They ran to him when he arrived, cried when he left. Normal kid stuff that made his heart feel 3 sizes too big. Grace had warmed up to him, slowly. She still gave him looks sometimes, reminders that she was watching. but she'd also invited him to Sunday dinners, let him help with the boys, even laughed at his jokes occasionally. Progress. Clara had moved to New York, started fresh. Ethan had heard through mutual friends that she was dating someone who looked at her like she hung the moon. Good. She deserved that. As for Ethan and Maya, they were taking it slow. He still lived in his apartment. She still lived above the bakery. They were together, but they weren't rushing. Well, mostly not rushing. There was the night they'd kissed until 2 in the morning, forgetting to be careful. The afternoon they'd almost crossed a line in the bakery kitchen before Jessica interrupted. The constant pull between them that made slow feel impossible, but they were trying, for the boys, for themselves, to build something that would last. And then came the day everything changed. It was a Saturday, the bakery's busiest day. Ethan was helping with the lunch rush when a woman walked in. She looked familiar, tall, elegant, grey hair pulled back in a bun. "Can I help you?" Jessica asked. "I'm looking for Ethan Cole." The woman's voice was cultured, careful. Ethan froze. He knew that voice. Mom? His mother, whom he hadn't spoken to in over a year, stood in the doorway of Thompson's bakery, looking completely out of place in her designer suit and pearls. "Hello, Ethan." Her eyes swept the bakery, taking in everything. "We need to talk." The lunch rush faded into background noise. All Ethan could hear was his own heartbeat. "About what?" "About your father. About what he did." She paused, her expression pained. "And about my grandsons. The ones you didn't tell me existed." Maya appeared from the kitchen, alerted by Jessica. She took one look at Ethan's face and moved to his side. His mother's gaze shifted to Maya. "You must be her, the one my husband tried so hard to drive away." "I'm Maya," she said quietly. "Elizabeth Cole." His mother extended her hand. Maya shook it uncertainly. "I came to apologize. For my husband, for myself, for the years you spent alone because of our family's arrogance." Ethan found his voice. "How did you find out?" "Mark called me, told me everything." Elizabeth's composure cracked slightly. "I had no idea, Ethan. I swear I didn't know what your father had done. The letters, the threats, none of it. Would you have stopped him if you knew?" The question hung heavy between them. "I want to say yes," his mother said finally, "but I don't know. Your father was difficult to stand up to, even for me." She looked at Maya. "But I should have tried. For that I'm deeply sorry." Maya nodded slowly. "Thank you. May I meet them? My grandsons?" Ethan looked at Maya. It was her call. "They're upstairs," Maya said. "Ethan can take you up. But Mrs. Cole, if you're here out of obligation or guilt, please don't. They don't need another person who might disappear. I'm here because I've missed 3 years of their lives, because my husband's pride cost me my only child and 2 grandchildren." Elizabeth's voice was firm. "I'm here to stay, if you'll let me." Maya studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded. 30 minutes. Then we talk about what comes next." Ethan led his mother upstairs. His hands shook as he unlocked the door. Ben and Leo were building with Legos. They looked up curiously at the stranger. "Boys," Ethan said, "this is your grandmother, my mum." "Grandma Grace is our grandma," Leo said. "You have 2 grandmas now?" Ethan explained. Elizabeth's eyes filled with tears as she looked at them. "They look just like you, at that age." "Really?" "Exactly like you." She knelt down slowly, her expensive suit forgotten. "Hello, boys, it's very nice to meet you." Ben approached cautiously. "Do you like books?" "I love books." "What's your favorite?" And just like that, Elizabeth was telling them about her favorite childhood story. The boys listened, drawn in by her gentle voice. Ethan watched, his throat tight. His mother, who'd always been so formal, so distant, was sitting on his children's floor talking about fairy tales. Maybe people could change. Maybe it wasn't too late for anyone. That evening, after his mother left with promises to return, after the boys were in bed, Ethan and Maya sat on the couch together. "Today was a lot," Maya said, leaning against him. "Yeah. You okay?" "I think so. Still processing." He played with her fingers. "She wants to be involved, set up a trust for the boys, help with the business, all of it." "How do you feel about that?" "Honestly? I don't know. Part of me is angry she waited so long. Part of me is grateful she came at all. Families are complicated. That's an understatement." He kissed the top of her head. "But I have you. I have Ben and Leo. That's what matters. And your mum. If you want her, do you want her around?" Maya was quiet for a moment. "I think the boys deserve to know both their grandmothers. And maybe she deserves a second chance too." You're too forgiving. You love that about me. I love everything about you. She tilted her face up. Prove it. So he did, with a kiss that started soft and turned heated, with hands that wandered and breath that quickened, with whispered words against skin. Maya, he murmured, I need to ask you something. Now? Yes, now, before I lose my nerve. She pulled back to look at him. Okay. He took her hand. I know we said slow. I know we're taking our time. But every day I spend with you and the boys, I'm more certain this is it. You're it. Ethan, I'm not proposing, not yet, but I will, soon. He met her eyes. I want forever with you. I want to wake up next to you. I want to raise our boys together. I want to build a life that's messy and beautiful and ours. So I guess what I'm asking is, when I do propose, will you say yes? Maya's eyes filled with tears. That's not really giving me a choice. Sure it is. You can say no. Tell me I'm moving too fast, that you need more time. And if I do, then I'll wait, however long it takes. She smiled through her tears. You already asked me that once, about waiting forever. And I meant it. Good. She kissed him softly. Then yes. When you ask, really ask, I'll say yes. You will? I will, because you're right. This is it. You're it. She laughed. We're messy and complicated and probably crazy, but we're ours. Ethan pulled her close, holding her like she might disappear, like the last 3 years might have been a dream and he'd wake up alone. But she was real, solid, here, and she loved him, despite everything, despite the lost years and the pain and the obstacles. She loved him. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For giving me a second chance, for letting me be their father, for loving me anyway. Ethan Cole, there is no anyway. I just love you, all of you, the good and the bad, and everything in between. They stayed like that for a long time, wrapped in each other, wrapped in possibility. Outside, Charleston continued its evening rhythm. Cars passed, people walked by, life went on. But in that small apartment above a bakery, 2 people who'd been torn apart had finally found their way back, and in the next room, 2 little boys slept peacefully, dreaming of dinosaurs and trains, and the father who'd finally come home. It wasn't a perfect ending. Life wasn't perfect. There would be challenges ahead, hard days, disagreements, struggles, but they'd face them together. And that, Ethan thought, was the real happy ending. Not perfection, just love. Real, messy, complicated, beautiful love. The kind worth fighting for, the kind worth waiting for, the kind worth coming home to, forever. 3 months later, the fairy lights twinkled in the bakery's back garden. It was small, but Maya had transformed it. Flowers in pots, white chairs borrowed from Grace, a simple arch covered in climbing roses. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just perfect. Ben and Leo stood at the front in matching suits, holding small velvet pillows with rings tied on. They took their job very seriously, even though Leo kept scratching at his collar. The guests, barely 30 people, waited in the chairs. Jessica, Grace, Mark, Elizabeth, the bakery staff, a few close friends. That was it. That was all they needed. The music started. Not a traditional wedding march, something softer, something that was theirs. And Maya appeared. Her dress was simple, white but not stark, lace but not fussy. Her hair was down, flowers woven through. She carried a bouquet of wildflowers picked from Grace's garden. She was the most beautiful thing Ethan had ever seen. Grace walked beside her, beaming with pride. When they reached the front, she kissed Maya's cheek and whispered something that made Maya laugh. Then Grace took her seat, and it was just Ethan and Maya, standing under the roses, standing in front of everyone who mattered. Hi, Maya whispered. Hi, Ethan whispered back. The officiant began talking, but Ethan barely heard. He was too busy looking at Maya, at the woman who'd changed everything, who'd given him purpose, given him family, given him love. The couple has prepared their own vows, the officiant said. Ethan took Maya's hands. His own were shaking. Maya, he began, 3 years ago I lost you, and I spent every day after trying to fill the hole you left behind, but nothing worked, because you weren't just someone I loved. You were home. His voice cracked. And then, by some miracle, you came back. You gave me a second chance I didn't deserve. You let me meet our sons. You let me prove I could be the man you needed. He paused, composing himself. I'm not perfect. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to burn the bread and forget important dates and probably say the wrong thing at the wrong time. But I promise I will choose you every single day. in the good times and the hard times, when it's easy and when it's not. I will choose us, choose this family, forever. Maya was crying. So was half the audience. She squeezed his hands and began her own vows. Ethan, you asked me once what I needed. I didn't have an answer then, but I do now. I need you. Not your money or your connections or your fancy business skills. Just you. The man who reads the same book 7 times without complaining. The man who learned to bake because I asked him to. The man who shows up every day, without fail. She smiled through tears. You're not perfect. Neither am I. We have history and baggage and 2 toddlers who don't understand personal space. But we have love. Real love. The kind that lasts. The kind worth fighting for. So I promise. I will trust you. I will let you in, even when it's scary. I will build this life with you. For us, for Ben and Leo, for whatever comes next. The officiant smiled. Do you have the rings? Ben and Leo stepped forward, holding out their pillows proudly. The rings were simple gold bands. Nothing flashy. Nothing that screamed money or status. Just symbols of forever. Ethan slipped the ring on Maya's finger. She did the same for him. By the power vested in me, the officiant said, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss. Ethan didn't need to be told twice. He pulled Maya close and kissed her, deep and sweet and full of promise. The guests cheered. Ben and Leo clapped. Someone, probably Jessica, whistled loudly. And when they finally broke apart, Ethan whispered, We're finally home. Yeah, Maya whispered back. We are. They walked back down the aisle hand in hand, as husband and wife, as partners, as family. Ben and Leo ran after them, shouting about cake. Because of course they were thinking about cake. The reception was in the bakery itself. Maya had made their wedding cake, simple white frosting with fresh strawberries, not fancy, but delicious. They ate, they danced, they laughed. Ethan danced with his mother, who cried through the whole song. He danced with Grace, who reminded him that her kneecap threat still stood if he ever hurt her daughter. He danced with the boys, letting them stand on his feet, but his favorite dance was with Maya, just them, swaying to music in their bakery while their family watched. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For coming back, for staying, for this. Thank you for letting me. We're really doing this, huh? The whole forever thing. We really are. She smiled against his chest. I'm glad. Me too. Later, after the guests left and the boys were asleep in the apartment, Ethan and Maya stood in the bakery kitchen, just the 2 of them, surrounded by the smell of sugar and flour and home. You know what's crazy? Maya said. A year ago, I was alone, just me and the boys trying to make it work. And now you're stuck with me. Yeah, I'm stuck with you. She wrapped her arms around his waist. Lucky me. Lucky us. They stood there in the quiet. No words needed. Just presence. Just love. Outside, Charleston slept. The city that had witnessed their beginning, their ending, their new beginning. And in a small bakery on Market Street, 2 people who'd lost each other had finally found their way home. Not to a place, to each other, to family, to forever. And it was messy and imperfect and absolutely, completely, perfectly right. The end.